Into Raise a glass and oh, the night is gone and so there's a light that leads into a world, a place to be unknown, discovered by my own. Raise a glass and sing along. So raise your glass, your home's where you belong. Feel love, my brother, sing along. Celebrate and drinking all night long. Feel the earth moving. Just let it in and let it out. Into a new Raise a glass and oh, the night is gone and so there's a light that leads into a world, a place to be unknown, discovered by my own. Raise a glass and sing along. So raise your glass, your home's where you belong.
Woo, hi.
Hey, we're here. We are live. It is happening. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you.
AstraZeneca. That's a fun vaccine. Congrats, Hamo.
Yes, that is a good one. Please hydrate. Take good care of yourself. And, Discordia Nest, I'm sorry that you're not feeling well after your second jab.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Did we talk about this? I was straight up like hallucinating. Oh no, I know we did, but I don't remember if it was
No, we did not talk about
I think it was after
this.
the stream.
Yeah,
well,
but
no, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. No. I was just gonna say, like, I don't remember this particular story, so feel free to like share it again. Like,
oh, just like so I was really feverish, and I was hallucinating. I was all over the shop. And then I put on the Midnight Gospel, and I was like, Duncan Trussell did this for me. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot that wasn't WhatsApp, so I was like, I don't remember like discussing this, but it was like via text. That's what happened. I was just like, my brain was like, I get it now. I get it. Yes, you're right. I remember, like, for me, it was mostly like I couldn't feel my arm. Like, my arm was literally just like, I was like, I am in muscle pain here, which was interesting. But were the hallucinations spooky? Asked Discordian Nest.
Were they spooky? I mean, they were spooky because I was hallucinating.
That's always spooky.
Yeah. I definitely was like, you know that feeling when you know you have a fever and you're like, everything doesn't feel real in a big way, and I am pain. I am just a bunch of pain strings tied together in knots, and that's me.
That's exactly. But that's like, it's weird because like when your body is sick is almost like when you, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is like more like if you're more of like the anxious type of person, but like I feel like I rarely have connection with my body except when I actively try to meditate or something. So when I'm sick, I'm just like, it's like an aggressive reminder. I'm like, also, you're part of this vessel. This meat vessel is important, and if you don't take care of it, you will die.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's basically it.
I hear you, actually. I'm of a similar ilk in that I'm usually pretty, I kind of ignore my body until my body's like, hey, remember me? And how you live in me?
There's like fucking rage, and just that's literally what the body does at that point. It's just like, fuck you.
Yeah. The weirdest thing though was, so my old injury was like, like periodically it'd feel like I was getting punched, like in the hip. Yeah.
That sounds really fucking painful, my dude.
Yeah, but you know,
it's like, was that sorry, when you're saying that, was that also like randomly or like during the fever, especially?
Just like, it was just during the fever when I was having body aches. I kept like getting woken up by a sharp pain where I had dislocated my hip, and then like and it was enough that it would like periodically like wake me up, or like I'd lay there and I'd be like, oh, okay, my whole body hurts, but you know, everything just hurts the same amount. And then I don't know, in 15 minutes after I have that thought, my hip is like, it's me again.
Your hip is like, did you forget? I run this fucking show.
You dislocated me in 2019, you bitch.
You remember me? It's like Barcelona every few years trying to make a fuss about not being part of Spain. That's literally your hip.
Yeah, my
so, fuck you.
My femur was just like, this bitch is crazy. I'm getting out.
I don't want to be here anymore. Yes, she did dislocate her hip, Discordian Nest.
Yeah, I dislocated
That was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing. I dislocated my hip in grad school. But the funny thing is about like the fever pain is I brought it up to the doctor that I was going to for like a whole other thing where I broke my foot.
And, you know, yeah.
And I was like, hey, I thought it was super weird that my old injury really hurt during the fever. And I was like, what's that about? I was like, I'm curious. And he got really defensive, and he was like, the vaccine wouldn't do that. The vaccine wouldn't do anything to aggravate an old injury or whatever else. And I was like, I'm not questioning the vaccine. I am not anti-vax. I am not telling it. I'm like, I would.
I'm so pro-vax. I was in line to get it. Like, I am here for it. But
me too.
This is not about that.
I was just genuinely curious, and I was like trying to like talk him down, and it was not. It must be a thing where he's been fielding so much that it just kind of like set him off, and I was just like, no. I was like, and I'm not telling everyone not to get the vaccine because it's gonna aggravate old injuries. I was just genuinely curious.
You're like, I think it's just your body just being angry. I mean, look, I'm sorry that the doctor got so defensive. I kind of get where the doctor might be coming from, but like, yeah, it's I wish he would have answered your question. You know, it would have been helpful.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could think of like a handful of reasons why that might have been so. Like, you know, I was just curious to hear a doctor's perspective on it. But you know what? Maybe I will ask a doctor when the pandemic is like fully in the rearview mirror, long enough that everyone has kind of chilled a little.
No one gets triggered immediately when you ask questions about the side effects.
I totally but I agree with you. Like, I totally got where the doctor was coming from, and I was like, ooh, I did not think through any of that. No. I see that Silent Adel, who 4-month sub, thank you so much.
We need to come up with a song for the 4-month song. I know. I feel like I'm over. I know, and like I was already like, oh, we came up with the 3-month song. That Sasha did a great job. I love it. Now we're coming to the point where people are getting here for 4 months, which is amazing. But like, you know, now I have to come up with, you know, it's another one. So I'm like, how long do we do songs for? Are we all gonna do the same? I don't know. This is a lot of pressure, but like in a good way. But
on the
terrible.
4th month of subscribing,
Silent Adel, give to me.
A really unimpressive song.
Yes. Okay, there we go. That's the song now. That's it. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you for
though.
subscribing.
We love you though. I'm sorry.
You. Thank you.
It's a terrible song.
Where, you know, my song stylings are not, you know, cannot adequately convey the gratitude that I have. And to
Indubitably.
answer your question, I was doing aerial silks, and
That's why she broke her hip or dislocated.
Yeah. I did a trick that I did all the time, hundreds and hundreds of times, no problem. Brought my leg up next to my face, and you know, yeah.
It happens, you know. It checks out that you were doing aerials or silk aerials. I don't understand what that is, but it sounds like something that would help like dislocate your hip.
It's the thing where I forget it. Do you watch comic book movies? I'm trying to remember.
You mean the Marvels?
Yeah, like the Marvels or the DCs. Because
yes, the DCs and the Marvels.
Harley Quinn does aerial silks. It's when the strings are hanging from the ceiling and the person just does the flippy dips in the strings.
The flippity doop doops. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. There we go. I can see how that is also something that you could get injured from. Now that I have a clearer picture, but yes.
I can, you know, on the Discord, I'll find the move that did it, and on the Discord I will show you a video of someone doing the move that made me dislocate my hip.
Nice. We're all looking forward to that. How Emily fucked her hip.
Yeah, I mean it's someone executing it in a very normal way and not a I need to go to student health kind of way.
Right. But if we can get someone to like Photoshop your face into that video,
please,
so we can visualize it better, that'd be super helpful.
It would be guys. Super helpful. Silent Adel with the great pun. This is why I stick to juggling. The only threat is getting a ball in the head, not a ball joint.
That's it for tonight, guys.
I love it.
This was a great show. We love you. Bye.
Peace out.
I think prior to this, like Emily and I were talking about like what was it, like the Martian thing? Because like I'm like okay, we could talk about spoopy things to like some more spoopy stuff. What was it
Yes.
called? Like, sorry, I'm like terrible with like word names.
Okay, so the document as it is, I guess, as it was stored at the CIA is called Mars Exploration, May 22nd, 1984.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, this is, so it's available now because of the Freedom of Information Act. Which project, what was the name of this project? Was this Stargate?
Yeah, the Stargate? Yeah, so just to clarify, is the Mars exploration part of the Stargate?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to remember. It was a part of Project Stargate.
Okay.
Which I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia of, because as is usual, I know vaguely what Project Stargate is, but if you were like, Emily, explain Project Stargate, I'd be like, the men who stare at goats and maybe drugs.
Yes.
Merry
That's
Christmas.
basically it. It's basically when the government was like, what if these hippies are onto something?
Yeah.
And they were like, why don't we just make a bunch of experiments on this? And they wrote a very extensive, well, I don't know if it's an extensive document, but like the main document of the whole thing is like really condensed language and really hard to follow. And I've tried multiple times to read through this document, but essentially it's like along the lines of astral projection, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the documents are dry as all get out. I do think it is funny. Like I understand where they're going with it, but and everything else, but you know, as is the way, I do get a small kick out of it. It's like, oh, here is this thing that's like really impressive and interesting. Can we use it to fuck other countries up?
yes. Like, well, it's like, again, it all goes back to the dolphins. Like, look at these beautiful smart creatures. Wow, they're so smart. I wonder if they can be spies. Like, that's what you think. They're like, I want them to be spies for our country.
I'm disappointed in the professionalism of these beluga whales. Like, sure.
Shakes iced coffee.
Oh my god. Yeah, so well, and I mean, this isn't Project Stargate, this is MK Ultra, but you know, the CIA was also just like randomly drugging people and
classic.
Funded and like had a whole thing around like well, it's funny, people say a brothel, but like I don't know quite that that's the case, because it sounded more like they were funding individual sex workers and encouraging them to go to like a special room where they had like a two-way mirror or some shit and a guy watched the whole time. But you know, just things the CIA does.
It's just normal. Just the CIA.
Just normal to do all of that stuff on American soil, even anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be cool anywhere, but it's also
I know, but it's funny when like we're like out here just being like all like, we don't do that shit's wrong, and then we're doing that shit, but we're like, only we can do that shit.
Yeah, it's only how many
just CIA things.
Just CIA things. Yeah. Feeling cute, might install a dictator later.
It's like, I don't know, maybe we should microdose some like political prisoners and see what the drugs do.
I don't know, like, what's the worst that could happen?
David.
David.
But yeah.
You try getting Chile to not be socialist, David.
God, we were doing the best we could with the situation. God. You try.
Oh my god. Sorry. Yeah. So like now it's so now I'm like in my head I just have this like influencer Valley Girl voice attached to the CIA about everything now, where
I want it.
Yeah. So I
it's like that and Ethel. I'm okay with that being canon, and Ethel just being a recurring character in all of our stories, no matter what the story is.
That's right, because Ethel Ethel knows Brian Brain, the piss collector.
She knows him as well. She's like, it's the pee doctor, the guy that's always like, don't let him take your pee.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Nacho has a good one. Oh my god, I'm so quirky. I might invade and terrorize a country.
So quirky. I'm just the quirky turkey.
I guess I'm not like other girls.
I'm not like other secret agencies. I fucking hate it here, you guys.
Oh my god.
It's just funny.
Oh, yo. Okay, I'm gonna get back on track with the psychic phenomenon thing, but I was like, if we want to talk about some zany stuff that other agencies have gotten up to, I'm trying to think of how to put this. So, I heard thank you for the bits!
Aww, Silent Adel. Stop. You so cute. Stop.
So, World War II, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Soviets are in Germany. The shit has gone down.
Sure.
Everything else, the dust is settling, and they made a temporary secret. The KGB did a temporary secret burial place for Hitler because they didn't want his remains to become any kind of like a shrine or anything
symbol,
that people could come back to.
Right.
But they were like, we'll figure out where to put them later, and
for now,
they kind of forgot about it until like the 70s. and then the 70s KGB jaunt to take care of that also was a bit zany.
So you're telling me that Hitler did not escape to Argentina and found that's what I believe. That was the story that I believe, but I guess you're right. Maybe like I like the incompetent story better because it seems more fitting with humanity. I feel like it's just people being incompetent sometimes and just like, well.
Yeah, I mean, well, they ultimately did dispose of his remains in a secret location known only, I think, to like, them and I guess the higher ups at the KGB, but whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so the reason I thought of it was I was like, so sometimes you have Project Stargate, which is a project that was both the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and then SRI International, which is listed as a California contractor to investigate potential psychic phenomena and as they could be used for military and domestic intelligence.
Warfare.
Yes, for warfare.
Man.
I do like that it says domestic intelligence as well, because I'm like,
terrorists.
They're like, how can we use this to spy on everyone? Gosh, they must have been so relieved when all of the internet and phones happened.
I know. They're like, thank God for cameras. It was like we could only get one psychic per person, and it was hard. It was a lot of like salary payroll stuff going on for that. Like we couldn't handle that.
And I just saw Discordian Nest comment about clones working for an American agency, and I was like, oh, you're talking about Krieger and Archer.
I was like, so like Krieger.
It took me a second. So SRI International, the private contractor that was working on Project Stargate, is called Stanford. I was literally just looking at, where did you go? Stanford Research Institute. It's
just the same people that did the Stanford experiment, or like they sound super familiar.
That would be hilarious. I'm gonna look into it actually.
Because Stanford, what are you doing?
Right? What's going on at Stanford? Well,
she's also quirky.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I might torture some undergraduates.
Yeah.
That no wonder they became besties. And you're like, should we take a selfie next to your prison experiment? How
about like I write it down and you just like, you take photos of it, and like that way we'll be so popular.
So the Stanford Research Institute it separated officially from Stanford University in 1970, and then officially became known as SRI International in 1977. So, and then just I'm like trying to scroll down to see if we have any tidbits where I'm like, were they vaguely involved in the Stanford prison experiment? I feel like that might have been.
It might not be the same. Sorry. I mean, they're also like, I don't know. I mean, it's psychology, so I'm like, but it's similar enough in like in discipline that I'm like maybe, but like yeah, probably not. TBH.
Yeah, well,
that'd be really funny though.
A lot of what I'm kind of seeing in terms of their history is a bit more like actual stuff, like them working with an electro-optical alternative to the manual process of timing during film copying, things like that are like boring. This isn't psychics.
This isn't about psychics.
How dare you?
Give me my money back. I want my tax dollars back. I thought I was funding psychics.
Yeah, damn it, I specified on my tax form.
Can you imagine if tax forms had like a section where you could suggest what to use the money for? I would like to fund some psychics, and also the aliens, I want them to have nicer chambers.
So yeah, I want the aliens to have as many fidget spinners as they want. So something that I'm seeing with respect to the Stanford prison experiment is that it's U.S. Office of Naval Research funded the experiment as an investigation into behavior, which the U.S. Office of Naval Research does have a close relationship with SRI.
That makes sense.
But this is after the split, so but at the same time, since it didn't like have its official name until 1977, I feel like this is like a gray area, wiggle room, weird situation.
There's probably like a lot of like organizational like memory, like where like some people were still around, so they were probably like, you know, organizations are basically people, and I think sometimes we forget that. So as the same people were around, it really doesn't fucking matter if they were named something else, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, organizations are people, and that is a thing. That is a thing in the eyes of the law.
That is a thing in the eyes of the law. It's also it's what do you call it when something is true because of its definition? There's a, you know what I'm talking about, like the philosophical term, like for it. Is it tautology? That sounds somewhat familiar.
I thought tautology was what Luke Skywalker was riding on in Empire Strikes Back.
Like when something is just like... okay, so yeah. That's the opposite of what we want. Like liberal government. Sorry, I'm just like out here on the chat laughing because Discordia Net is out here like a tautology is something inherently incorrect, like a liberal government. Sorry, that was funny. Good, that was a good chuckle.
I don't know. It works for me. I'm the CIA.
It's like I feel like you just don't know how to do it. Let me show you by like imposing myself on you.
You don't.
I'm gonna sit on your face.
You don't know him like I do.
He would never do that. Like I know him personally, and he would never do such a thing. Sorry, it's got dark.
No. It's I feel like it's hard to kind of talk about this sort of stuff, even though it is just like something for the CIA, something relatively whimsical. But the problem is it's the CIA, which inevitably means we're it lends itself to veering off into like, oh, remember this fucked up thing?
Yeah, it's like we will never reach like the point we were trying to make because the CIA keeps doing shit that we can keep Googling.
Yeah, it's if the CIA wants us to stop talking about it, they should stop doing things.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, just stop making the news.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just stop being. Just period.
Oh my god. So, like in terms of this Project Stargate situation with the CIA, like, you know, I was saying it's cute for them. psychic phenomena, military and domestic intelligence application. The project and its precursors and sister projects originally went by various code names. And this first one I'm obsessed with, Gondola Wish. That's hilarious.
I don't know what that is, but I love it already. Is that my new favorite one? Because I think the Mars exploration is fucking lit, but like, is this a great new one that I haven't discovered yet?
No, so it's just one of the related code names, like to the project.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a sub-project within it. And I was like, oh, wow. I also like Gondola. Like, that's actually great. I'm like, what is this? Like Hades? Like, you're just like on a gondola and like the what do you call it? Like, I can't do words.
Oh, on the river Styx?
Charians. Yeah, Charians River of Styx. You're just like, Sorry. Anyway, continue.
No,
Sorry.
So like in the Project Stargate universe, in the PSU, Gondola Wish is like a property.
Gotcha.
Gondola Wish is Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, I'm like now. Yes, I'm a hashtag Gondola gal.
Oh, another great one. So after Stargate, Stargate is like the big one, obviously. Like that's the header that we all associate with this whole situation. But another one from the PSU, Grill Flame.
What is that, Guy Fieri? Is Guy Fieri a CIA project? What is this?
Or like King of the Hill, like
King of the Hill.
I know he grills a lot in that. Center Lane, Project CF, Sunstreak, and Scanate, Scanate, Scanate. That can't be
Scanate. I love that, Scanate.
I don't know what it's actually meant to be.
I don't want to know. I like not knowing.
Yeah.
Scanate.
Scanate. Just like, that's gonna be like a word that I use to like calm myself down. I'm stressed. I'm just like, Scanate.
Scanate.
So, and in 1991, they were all consolidated into the rechristened Stargate project. So Stargate was one of them, but then Stargate became like the umbrella name for all of them together.
That makes sense.
So it was mostly remote viewing. You know, can they like see events or get information from a great distance?
That makes sense. What's North Korea up to?
Right.
And all that stuff, right?
One of the things that I'm seeing that I also love, and I'll just read the sentence verbatim. The project was overseen until 1987 by Lieutenant Frederick Holmes Skip Atwater. So Skip, an aide, and quote unquote, this is direct from the source, this is direct from Wikipedia, psychic headhunter to Major General Albert Stubblebine.
I love that. It's also terrible because like it's literally like when you watch all the fucking comic book movies and like shit where they're like, oh yeah, like we love X-Men for war. I want to have all of you as Pokemons. Like let's all fucking go and start an army of fucking bullshit.
Well, and also like let's start an army bullshit situation. Well, and in my head, I was thinking when you were saying about the comic book movies, like you know how in a lot of the MCU movies, like Nick Fury just kind of like sidles on up to people, like in the earlier ones, just like, hey, do you want to be on a superhero team? Don't ask too many questions. It can't get that weird.
It's a select group of individuals. You want to be part of it.
So I'm just imagining Skip Atwater just going up to people and being like, hey, you seem like really psychic. Do you wanna come to Fort Meade, Maryland?
He's like, hey, I saw your tarot ad on the paper and I would like you to come with me to Maryland for some tests if you're interested. I will pay you a lot of money for it. Not a lot, but a lot to you probably.
It's funded by the U.S. government. Is that normal? You know, they did the dolphin thing and that wasn't normal, so why not? So it was only like.
Sorry, this Koreanness just like I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 3.
The letter M.
I don't know why. It's just like, I'm so psychic. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was 2.74.
That's true. It's infinite numbers if you think about it. Anyway. But anyway.
This psychic unit was only composed of about like 15 to 20 individuals, and it was run out of, and these are more quotes, an old leaky wooden barracks. It was terminated and declassified as a project in 1995 after the CIA report concluded that it was never useful in any intelligence operation.
Wait, so there are 15 to 20 people out there potentially still alive that participated in this.
For sure.
Why hasn't anyone done a documentary where they just interview these fucking people? Because I would pay to watch that. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We can keep.
Well,
this is a sidebar. That's
it's funny that you say that, because, like, I mean, The Men Who Stare at Goats, the Coen Brothers film, is based on a book that was written about them.
I didn't realize that.
So there very well might be a documentary out there, but I know that definitely like a dramatic interpretation of it exists. And George
That's
Clooney's
awesome. And George Clooney's there. Yeah, I just didn't realize it was like written based on like the book. I didn't realize that connection. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. I will go back to that eventually. Then sounds great.
Yeah, I actually I'm like, if there is a documentary, I'm here for it. I need a zany documentary. I just finished. What was the one I just finished the LuLaRoe leggings one. And I'm like, yeah, that one was sadder than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be like a bummer, but it was more of a bummer than I thought it was going to be.
Oh no, that's really sad.
It's just absurd, the whole situation. But anyway, why did the United States want psychic research? So let's see. Information in the United States on psychic research in some foreign countries was poorly detailed, mostly based on rumor or innuendo from secondhand or tertiary reporting, attributed to both reliable and unreliable disinformation sources from the Soviet Union. So the CIA and DIA decided they should investigate and know as much about it as possible.
Interesting.
So various programs were approved yearly and refunded accordingly. They would do reviews semi-annually in front of like the Senate and House committees. Let's see. So remote viewing was attempted with the results being kept secret from the viewer. So it was thought that if the viewer was shown they were incorrect, it would damage the viewer's confidence and skill. So standard operating procedure throughout the years, I guess, was to just kind of rarely give any feedback whatsoever. So they would just be like, what do you see? And you'd be like, I see a yellow cube. And they're like, okay. And
yeah, they're like absolutely wrong. But it makes sense, I guess, that they would do that. But it's also like really funny because, anyway. This is very, very weird.
Like, I kind of enjoy that. Like, just the sort of like...
Cool. I will write that down. Yeah, that's fine.
Especially given
cool. Like going to therapy
thing that we're about to, like, get into, where it's just, like... we're like... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Like, I'm not saying it. I'm just saying, yep, I'm agreeing emphatically with you. Emphatically agrees.
Emphatically agreeing. But yeah, so it's a funny mental picture. Normally the remote viewing was performed to detect like current events, but during military and domestic intelligence applications, viewers claimed to sense things in the future. Experiencing, precognition.
Yeah. So
that, and I assume that there are more sort of like psychic bullshit sort of things. Not that I am saying that psychic powers are bullshit, but you know what I mean? Psychic.
No, but like
psychic stuff.
Words and theories and all that stuff.
to get into that, they're like, I don't know, stare at this and make it blow up. Part of me was like, I'm not saying they did that, but part of me is also like, I'm not saying they didn't. Why not?
I know, exactly. I just like also like they would. I mean, if you told me they did that, I'd be like, okay, that checks out. Yeah, like 100% makes sense.
So let's see. I'm trying to find some more good juicy details in our CIA secret programs here. So it looks like so basically in 1970, U.S. intelligence kind of heard a rumor that the Soviet Union was spending 60 million rubles annually on psychotronic research. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, that's it. That's amazing. That was really cool.
Amazing.
Business bitch. That's
it. They were like, the Soviet Union's being a business bitch. We got to get on this. Where are my
They're
options?
just like, we need to be a business bitch too.
Yeah. So the CIA was like, exactly. They were like, we need to be business bitches as well. So they started. So the first one was Scanate that we were talking about.
Scanate.
So scan by coordinate. So scanate, I guess it would be then.
Okay.
Okay. It's not as fun as Scanate though. I like Scanate better, but
Scanate is the best so far.
Yeah, right? Scanate. It's just sorry. It's just I don't know why
it's
it tickles
fun to
me.
Say.
It's really fun to say. So that happened in 1970. And remote viewing research started in 1972 at SRI in Menlo Park, California. Mm-hmm. Proponents of the research said that a minimum accuracy rate of 65% required by the clients was often exceeded in later tests.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Let's see here. So they were also testing psychics kind of in general in 1972 because one of the ones that I'm seeing that they tested was Uri Geller.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, I know.
I can look it up for people. I don't know enough, but Uri
does magician, psychic, illusionist. They're illusions,
British
Michael.
illusionist. Uri Geller. He's sorry. He's very entertaining now. He is an Israeli British illusionist, magician, television personality, and self-proclaimed psychic. He is known for his trademark television performances of spoon bending and other illusions. So, yeah. He uses conjuring tricks to simulate. Okay, this is now getting to the details. Yeah. Anyway, he does the spoon bending thing. Okay, noted. That's the guy you want to know.
I love in the spoon bending scene in The Matrix where that creepy little kid's like, there is no spoon.
That is the good one. There is no spoon. Dear sir, you start chilling for me and my family.
Just
sorry.
No, it's sorry. It's like I'm hooked. I'm fixated on the spoons. So Uri Geller was there. They were like, you seem like you psychic. Come psychic with us. Come on down to
join the psychic crew.
California. So they're doing the psychic stuff,
I want to say bye to Silent Adel. Bye, Silent Adel. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Good night. Thank you for the 4-month sub and the bits. You're amazing.
Bye.
We love you. And so, actually, specifically with respect to Uri Geller, it seems there was a bit of a agree to disagree kind of a situation going on because one of the higher ups reported to the government that Uri Geller was a complete fraud. And so, but as a result of that, some of the initial psychic researchers lost the government contract that they had. because they were like, our shit's going great. Uri Geller's here and stuff, and they were like, Uri Geller sucks, and you suck.
I mean, look, I feel like that would be like controversial, but I'm also like, I can see how he would suck. I mean, like, I feel like someone who has psychic abilities might not want to be on a spotlight about it, you know? So that's why my one caveat about him. I'm like, he was clearly into being a personality, so.
Right. And I'm seeing that Project Gnarly's here. Hello, Project Gnarly.
Hi, Project Gnarly. Welcome to the stream.
I like your little dinosaur.
Oh, that is a nice little dinosaur.
Right?
I like it.
Yeah, so basically the CIA decided that everyone involved in that experiment didn't have enough followers on their Insta to do a collab.
They're like, sorry, changed our mind.
Hi, Bernaway,
thank you.
Oh,
we miss you. I'm so glad you're kind of here for. It's so great.
Bless up. Wonderful. We attempted the 4 month song. 4 months sub song before, but I'm like,
it was not a good song though.
It was not.
But you can try again if you want to. Go ahead.
It's 4 month subs. I burn away subbed 4 months in time.
Beautiful. In time. Time is crazy, y'all.
Time
sax
travel.
solo.
And
I wish I had a saxophone at this point.
Oh, saxophone would be perfect. I'm like, I could press the button, but I'm distracted.
Yeah. Wait, we want to focus on this. Also, to Project Gnarly, real quick. Arcana check is it's like a callback to D&D when you have to roll for Arcana check. So you wanna, I don't know. Wait, I lost my train of thought. Do you want to explain more?
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
No. So we are normally we are on a Dungeons and Dragons stream. We stream on Sundays, and we found that we like to do a just chatting show where we talk about all things sort of spooky, right? We like to talk about the paranormal. We like to talk about creepy stuff. Today we are talking about that time that the CIA got really invested in remote viewing and psychic powers.
But this Arcana check isn't like D&D focused, but it's just because we're a D&D stream in general. So.
Because that's what our channel is really about. But this is more of let's casually chat about the CIA and pretend the CIA has the voice of a Valley Girl influencer, which it's still working for me. I don't know.
I'm okay. This is canon for me. The CIA is a Valley Girl.
And I'm seeing the suggestion about Edgar Casey, so I'm going to get Edgar Casey, his clairvoyant butt. We're gonna get that over here. So this is more, right? This is something that we might get to after we kind of talk a little bit more about Stargate. But yes, definitely Edgar Casey, super influential. High roll for revelry.
Hi.
And you know, the sleeping prophet, as he was known. His stuff is fascinating. Ooh, I just heard the sound cue. I love it. So
it's a good soundbite for this stream.
It is. Yes. So as far as that goes, we will circle back to Casey. But as far as the Stargate project is concerned, where we left off, it was okay. So yeah, the physicists Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff, who began the psychic testing at SRI, the government was like, yeah, her social media accounts are all trash. Why would we collab with her anymore? But one of the project's successes was the location of a lost Soviet spy plane in 1976 by Rosemary Smith, a young administrative assistant recruited by project director Dale Graff. So Dale Graff was like, hey, I know you're an administrative assistant, I know you're a secretary, but you're more than just a secretary to me, girl, because I can sense how profoundly psychic you are. I
want to vibe with your psychedelic vibes. You hear me, girl? All right, let's go.
Yeah, it just
Damn. So she found this ship. That's fucking crazy.
apparently a whole ass plane, which I didn't know this, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So that obviously was probably enough that the government was like, well, shit, we gotta keep putting money into this remote viewing project.
They're
so
like results.
So now we get my favorite project name, Gondola Wish.
Gondola Wish.
So, and that's to evaluate potential adversary applications of remote viewing.
Twash.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So they're like, what would the Soviets be doing with their psychics? Oh man.
Yeah, what were the Soviets doing? Were they doing the psychic stuff on the dolphins and stuff? No, it's okay. We don't want to. Sorry, I feel like if we keep diverting, we're never gonna get to the Martian project. I'm gonna.
Oh man, that's how we got here.
that.
That's how we got here. I forgot. Okay.
I'm trying to get back to the Mars project.
This fucking Mars project though in the 80s, where we're still in the 70s. Fuck. Okay.
I know, we're almost there. We're getting there.
We're almost there. But yeah, I definitely am also. So we've got like in terms of our things that we want to know more about. I want to know more about what the Soviets were actually up to, and I want to know more about Edgar Casey. But anyway, so we talked about Project Gondola Wish, Grill Flame. The Flame.
The Guy Fieri project.
Right. It's all the way to Flavortown. And I'm just kind of like scanning through because I'm like, what did they actually do? They renamed it to Center Lane. Which is not as fun as going to Flavortown, but let's see here. It seems like
I'm upset,
right? And then it was renamed Sunstreak. Like, so apparently they're like just constantly changing the name of it, but it was the same project, I guess.
I wonder if I mean, you don't have to go into detail like how like long of a period between name changes, but I wonder if each administration that came into power just wanted a new name for the project. They're like, no, fuck that name. That's the other people's name. Our name is gonna be Sunstreak.
I'm Sunstreak now.
I am Sunstreak now. This is me now.
So actually, with respect to the changes, so I don't know why I can't say that today. Grill Flame. So that's the name from mid-1978 to 1983. 1983 was when it became Center Lane.
Okay.
But in 1984, the existence of the program was reported by Jack Anderson, and in that year, it was unfavorably received by the National Academy of Sciences National Research Council.
Fair.
So they rebranded again in late 1985 since they got like some bad press and everything else, and that was when it was redesignated as Sunstreak. The Army funding had stopped, but the funding by like the DIA was still keeping it going, so they lost some funding, but they still existed as Sunstreak.
Sure.
And then let's see, in 1991, that's kind of when everything shut down. And it was kind of everything was given its final name of Stargate. And then, in 1995, it all kind of became out in the open, as it were.
It came out of the closet. All that stuff.
That's why we're allowed to know about it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have all of this information, like the Mars exploration that we're about to head on over to in a second here. Yeah, you can browse all of the Stargate archive on the CIA's website. As of 2017, you can do this. It's kind of hard to like get through, honestly. It's hard to kind of like, it's hard to find. You have to like really dig for the gems. You have to dig for those hidden gems.
I mean, yeah. But it's like sometimes you read something and you're like, that was worth it.
And I just saw that Hamo is going. Bye, Hamo.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, as far as like what all they were doing, because like underneath they're talking about methodology. Clairvoyance, out-of-body experiences, remote viewing, and let's see. And Project Stargate would only receive a mission after all other intelligence attempts, methods, or approaches had already been exhausted.
Okay. So last resort, psychics.
Right.
So the dolphins and the seals came before the psychics, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and so dolphins aside, the peak manpower of this project was 22 active military and civilian remote viewers. People leaving the project were not replaced. And let's see, when the project closed, for realsies, it's funny because it says in this part of Wikipedia 1995, although at the top it says 1991, so I'm not really sure what happened.
Oh,
in those 4
interesting.
years. I'm sure I just kind of like
maybe
missed
it's
it
like
as I was scanning
that's
through.
when it started to like maybe after 91 they start like doing the replacement, like the actual like it's slow death for the organization, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, just winding down. So in 1995 there were just 3 people left. One of them was using tarot cards, which I find fascinating.
I love that. They were reading the CIA's like fucking the CIA goes like, girl, I need you to do a spread for me. I'm not sure what to do about this whole Hong Kong situation right now. Can you like, I don't know, like, can you do a spread for me, please? Just read my cards.
Like, I don't know. It's just like the UK is like, we're gonna give it back. And I was just like, why? I don't even
I'm very confused. I don't even know anymore.
They don't even like remember. I actually now
I don't get it.
Actually I was just like, when was it given back? 97. Okay. So,
yeah, no, that's why I was just like, it's a little like, yeah, a little earlier, but it's still close enough where they might, yeah. They're like,
it was coming. I just like, she's talking about doing that, and I was like, this is like that time I had to talk you down from getting bangs.
Yeah, we're like, I don't know if that's good for all of us. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a very hard conversation. I'm sure the tarot reader had some good feedback, probably along the lines of like, girl, it's not your territory. You don't know. You can't decide what happens to it, okay?
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it go.
Spheres of influence were so 1880s.
Yeah.
whatever
Just
year
like,
that
we're
was.
not interested in that anymore. It's like the new year, like new age stuff. We're almost 21st century, girl. Get with the program.
It's over. It's like, I'm like, what do people not wear anymore? It's
what was being worn in the 90s? A lot of things, but a lot of things are coming back. So now I don't even know what's like not cool anymore. I need some Gen Zers to help.
Yeah, I need a Gen Zer to like just help me get my life in order in general. They've got a better head on their shoulders, I think, usually.
100%. 100%.
So anyway, we were talking about the tarot cards, doing the CIA's tarot cards. It's kind of funny because I guess, according to Joseph McMonagle, who was involved with the project. He was among some of the first personnel like recruited for this classified program. So he was in there for pretty much the whole time. He said that the Army, and this is a quote from him, the Army never had a truly open attitude towards psychic functioning. So they kind of were talking about like how there's a bit of a quote-unquote giggle factor and the saying, I wouldn't want to be found dead next to a psychic.
Oh, okay.
Whoops.
That's a little aggressive, but okay.
Yeah, that's intense. That is intense, man. Especially given, I guess, that's like the very last-ditch effort. It's like, you know...
I'm also like, you know, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work if you're being aggressively negative about it. It's all about the vibes, and if the vibes are wrong, it's not gonna turn out right, you know?
All I'm seeing is like that meme of all the like Pokemon, and I think they're all like all flying, and then there's just Bulbasaur looking kind of like angry, and someone's like, what the fuck is Bulbasaur doing? And underneath someone said, his best.
He's trying so hard.
His best.
But he cannot fly. He's trying his best.
So army psychics are Bulbasaur in that meme.
In that scenario, 100%. They're just trying their best without flying.
And then, so there's, like, a lot of other stuff on here about, like, the individual people that were involved, like, from your civilian personnel to your military personnel. And, you know, so, and a lot of, like, the remote viewing assignments they were given are kind of touched on in their little, like, blurb biographies. Some of the stuff that's jumping out was, like, you know, searching for a Soviet jet that crashed in the jungle carrying an atomic bomb. Tracking
yeah. Sounds important.
Tracking double agents or suspected double agents. Sessions targeted at Atlantis, Mars, UFOs, and aliens.
Those were the good, juicy ones.
Yeah, those were the juicy ones. That guy, Ed, I believe Dames it is, Dames, Ed Dames. Also, unsurprisingly, is a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM. Rest in peace, Art Bell.
No.
I know.
Rip.
What a fun show that was. I never really knew what to do with it as a kid, though. I'd like just like on the AM radio, just like hearing all the alien talk and just being like, what is happening?
I mean, it sparked something.
Yeah.
You know.
And now I'm here. Now we're all here.
Now we're here on Arcana Chat talking about
Exactly.
aliens.
So I imagine then that the Mars exploration from May 22nd, 1984. I suspect that's probably one of Ed Dames'
I love that.
little jaunts. I suspect so.
I think that's cool.
And basically, like, you know, they have like an envelope that they're given, or at least in this particular case, the subject was given immediately prior to the interview. The envelope was not opened until after the interview. It was a 3x5 card with the following information: the planet Mars, the time of interest approximately 1 million years BC, and then selected geographic coordinates provided by the parties requesting information were verbally given to the subject during the interview. So yeah, they just like gave him an envelope and they were like, all right, don't look at just you know, just like do the thing.
Just vibe and go.
Don't open this till after, but you know, just like hold. I don't know if he held it or what he did, but the transcript is just wild. It's great.
Like, it's really fun to read.
It is. Well, and Andrea and I were talking about how tonally, in our heads, like it sounded very different. So like, what were you saying about how it sounded from your perspective as you're
Well, in my
it?
head, the person doing like the psychicness was sounding a little bit more like I feel like I would sound if I was doing that, where I'm just like I don't want to get this wrong and I want to try really hard to get this right, so I'm trying to like think of the words, and then the other guy's like, just fucking say what you're saying. I'm like, I guess, like, I don't know, like I see some people, like I don't understand what's happening. And I think that's very different from what Emily thought was happening in this situation.
So when I read the explanation, just because like of some of the ways that the like person that is doing the remote viewing is speaking, I in my head those sorts of like moments of like I kind of heard in my head as being just like exasperated. Like I kind of read this whole interview as if this person was just kind of like frustrated. You know, they're like,
and forced to be there almost.
Yeah. Just like, okay, so a line from like the very first thing that they have to say about it is, I want to say it looks like I don't know, it sort of looks, I got a kind of oblique view of the pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area.
See, for me, I'm just like I guess what I see is like and then panics.
Like yeah. Now I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I want to try it that way too. I want to say it looks like I don't know. It sort of looks like it kind of got an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's
I really wish they had like notes on it. Like they were like, okay, and this is how the person was saying these things. They looked really scared.
Yeah.
Or they looked fucking done.
They're just like done, just pissed off.
They're just fucking done.
Over it. And also I took a peek. I was curious just to see you know, if we had like I know I took a peek at like who was here because I was like, oh, I know Hamo had to go and everything else, and Chug the Can is here again. Hi, Chug the Can. I see that username and I'm like, yeah, critical drinking is a good one to be.
That is exactly right.
An eye out. So hello again, Chug the Can. I enjoy your username. Down in one.
It's a very fun username. Hi, Chug the Can.
So I'm trying to think of like some other highlights from the Mars exploration. You were talking about like their clothes, right?
At some point, I think it's towards the end when like the guy who's doing the asking the viewer to switch locations, at some point he makes a comment in the thing where he's just like, and I think I just decided to let the person just like just do whatever the fuck they wanted, because I thought it'd be more productive than switching locations every 3 seconds. And then I think at some point after that, like towards the end, he's like, he runs into someone, like a group of people, and he's like, ooh, like what, like tell me about them. He's like, I don't know, like they're wearing like silk, like some kind of silk, but it's not flowy, it's like fitted or something. And I was like, I do like to think about Martians wearing silk robes. I think that sounds nice.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, and especially because I skipped to that part, and one of the things I'm seeing is like that they were like, it's he was at like a functional place for sleeping. Yeah. Or hibernation. I say he because I'm assuming it was probably our friend Ed Dames.
Yeah,
that's
I like
crazy.
to think that now too. No, it's just Ed Dames. It's fine.
Oh, Ed Dames. Ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
I'm Ed Dames. Yeah, Eddie Dames. So, who I presume to be Eddie Dames is talking about, how they like sleep through the storms, which I guess, you know, Martian dust storms are intense. So, okay. Mm-hmm. They hibernate through them. And when the monitor was like, okay, it says move close to one of them and ask them to tell you about themselves.
Yeah.
He says they're an ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. And basically, kind of, he goes on to sort of say that like they can't figure out a way to survive. Like they're just kind of.
Yeah, they sent like, there's something about like, oh, there's a group of people that went out to try to find something, like a solution or something, but they couldn't figure it out. So.
Yeah.
They all gonna die in Mars.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm like, honestly, so I was trying to remember the end of the interview, and I was like, right, the end of the interview gets like, really, really out there, where it's just kind of like, he's like, I don't know, it's about our globe, it's a cosmic thing, and you know,
there's a lot of panic.
Yeah. Oh, one of the so there's like a line at the end, and I'm like, you know, it's stuff like this that made me think that this person might be annoyed. Because I get an impression of, don't know what the hell it is. It looks like the inside of a larger boat, very rounded walls and shiny metal. Just kind of like, I don't know what the hell this is. Why do you want me to tell you what the hell this is? Like, it almost.
It's an orb.
Similarly in my head, this like person that's being interviewed is, I mean, I know that they're not, but like that this person being interviewed thinks that the monitor is seeing the same thing. It's just like, you fucking look at it.
Yeah. She's like, I mean, like, what do you want me to say? It's a fucking orb. I also like when Hiberna where it was like, oh,
yeah.
we're dying, so fuck it. We're going out looking fabulous and soaked. I mean, like, yeah, basically, everyone gets soaked. We're dying. Everyone just, like, we're having an orgy and everyone gets soaked the entire time.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely.
Why not?
Why not? I mean, it's as good a way to go about it as any. But yeah, so anyway, if you're interested, it is on the Discord in terms of like the entire thing. But yeah, and actually too, I would love to hear when people are on the Discord what attitude they think the subject has.
Yeah, I feel like now I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, are people reading this differently? I'm just like, am I just projecting my anxious personality onto this? But I do like, I want to read it like how Emily like said. I'm just like an exasperated person who's like, oh, I'm late for yoga. I've been doing this, like no one's paying me for this, and I'm just here sitting talking about fucking Martians. Like, ugh, I hate it here.
Why would you give me this stupid fucking envelope?
Why couldn't you send me somewhere else, like somewhere with a nice beach? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, why don't you like just let me watch the cute double agent for a little bit? Like,
yeah, why not?
Little voyeuristic and creepy, but it's my job. It's my job.
I would like to watch the cute like blonde person. Also, bye Discordia Nest.
Bye. Good night.
Thanks for hanging out.
But yeah, so I guess that's sort of everything leading up to this one particular one that is a favorite of mine from, the Stargate project, which is the Mars exploration about some sort of aliens that are in a really bad way. Everyone's dying, but they're going out in fabulous silks.
They look good in silk. And yeah, I feel like reading that at first. So when I looked it up when you sent it, I didn't understand that like they didn't get to see the location until after the thing, which I thought was interesting. I thought that they were just basically like told like, okay, you're gonna be in Mars and here. So I was like a little less impressed. Like, not that I'm super impressed now, but I'm just like, okay, like that's kind of like, okay, if they don't know where they are, but they're like in a specific place and it somehow sounds like Mars, like it sounds more legit to me somehow.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely peculiar, and the part of my brain that likes to, be kind of like skeptical and poke holes and things is kind of like, was like the envelope kind of like semi-sheer and he was able to see it, or like what?
Was he like?
I'm like, there's gotta be. I'm like, cause that just is wild to me, the idea of like them just like, especially too, I'm like, were they trolling? Was the person who was writing the location on that envelope just like, Ed Dames showed up late with his iced coffee. Fuck Ed Dames. Go to Mars, you dickhead.
Go to fucking Mars, you asshole. This is where we're sending you. Yeah, I thought that was really weird when they were like giving them specific like coordinates. I'm like, even if you could do astral projection, like to what degree like is your brain able to like register specific coordinates,
Yeah, I know my brain only works in terms of like not even landmarks, just like stores. You'd be like, it's where the Wawa used to be. And then like farther down the road there's a Wendy's. I'm like, oh, right.
I know where that is now. I have no idea where everything else is, but yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I would never. I don't know. Once you're a psychic, apparently you're really good at knowing where you are. So.
Ooh, that is an advantage for sure to being psychic.
It's a class advantage. Be a psychic.
It is a class advantage. Definitely a handful of like that's something that I never would have thought of with respect to psychic powers, just being like, because I know I'm really great at going, I think it's this way, and then it emphatically is not that way. It
never is,
no.
right?
No.
Same. I'm always the same.
I'm a little directionally challenged sometimes.
I'm 100% directionally challenged. It's the whole thing.
And yeah. I know we had made a new friend. Is our new friend still on?
They are. That's great. And we can go on to
talk about
thing.
Edgar Casey. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Although actually, so as a like linking thing, as a segue between the two and a linking situation here. There's a feat for that in 5e, knowing time and directions. Nice. Solid.
I need that all the time, actually. How can I get that IRL? That'd be nice.
There are a lot of things in 5e that I could use in real life.
I know. Same.
But you know, we were talking, and actually, so we were talking about like how my skeptical brain kind of, it was like, what's really going on there? Do you know who James Randi is?
No, who that?
So James Randi like used to be an illusionist and everything else, and like is just kind of like a big name in like skepticism around the paranormal. But he, and I think it's still up, basically he challenged anybody to prove that they are psychic. I'm trying to remember how much. Let me see here. Okay, so last I'm seeing, it is $1 million. James Randi offered $1 million to anyone who could, like, consistently scientifically prove any sort of paranormal ability. So that's, like, you know, psychics, astrology, mind readers, faith healers.
Interesting.
Anything like that. It's called the $1 million Paranormal Challenge.
That's an original name. Who thought of that? $1 million.
Apparently, though, and I didn't know this, the challenge was terminated in 2015. So the challenge was first issued in 1964.
Shit.
Over 1,000 people applied, but no one was successful, and it ended in 2015. But I'm like, why did it end in 2015?
I'm like, did someone actually do it in 2015? Is that why it was canceled? Or was he like, actually, I'm not liquid anymore. I couldn't afford it if someone showed up and was psychic.
So from what I'm seeing, James Randi announced that he was officially retiring and stepping down from like his position at the James Randi Educational Foundation, whatever it is. And the board announced that they decided to convert the foundation into a grant-making foundation, so they weren't accepting applications directly from people claiming to have paranormal abilities any longer.
Oh, I see.
It kind of seems like they were like, maybe we should focus our energy rather than being like, not you, to being like, maybe we can like contribute to something in the community or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
maybe like our money can go towards something like that's helpful.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit.
So, and I mean, you know, there are a handful of like, you know, there's some sort of like criticism around how the testing was conducted. There are people who like refused to be tested, like psychic Sylvia Brown, for instance, refused to be tested.
Interesting.
And I'm trying to see if there were any like interesting ones. So some of the like failed tests are also listed here. So purported abilities that I'm seeing listed: mediumship, dowsing, medical dowsing.
What does that mean?
So the test that this person had put in front of them was they had to determine by observation which of 5 subjects was missing a kidney.
Interesting. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hibernia Way says that some of the tests were actually broadcast. So I didn't know that. I think 100% like probably gonna look into that because that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would watch that. I vaguely think I recall seeing one and it being awkward as fuck. I think I remember that.
I can see that being really awkward, TBH.
Yeah, especially like if it's not working the way that they thought it was going to. Let's see. I've heard it spot on. Nice.
Probably real awkward, TBH. Yeah.
A man named Andrew Needles in 2012 purportedly had a performance enhancing bracelet.
How?
I don't know.
Was it magic? Like what?
I'm sure if I looked into it, I could get more information.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I know. I just ask questions, but you know.
No, like I agree with you. I'm like I kind of want more context on that one. I burn away.
I love that. I'm sure. No, you should never lose your confidence when you're dancing. It's all about like faking it, man. No one is actually confident until you're drunk. Then it's fine.
Dance like no one's watching, even though everyone is watching.
Even though everyone's watching all the time, at every second, all the time. It's
Welcome.
Really disturbing.
Welcome to the Panopticon. You can visit Jeremy Bentham's body. I forget where. Merry Christmas.
Somewhere.
Happy
somewhere.
birthday.
Over the rainbow.
So, yeah, so like, the performance enhancing bracelet, the test was to distinguish participants wearing real product significant number of times. I don't quite know what that means. We're gonna, I might come back to you later. Remote viewing is another one. Sending energy through his hand that can be felt by another person is one.
But that, it's fine. Just keep going. I'm fine. Like, I was just like, like, if you're telling someone, like, did you feel it? Like, I feel like they feel it, you know?
Yeah. And then, this is like it says no claimant, and then it says demonstration test, and this was Ethernet cables that are claimed to be directional. Volunteers were were played sound twice and were asked to determine which cable had the highest sound quality, and it failed. What cracks me up about this is I know it's not what they're saying, but the way that this is put forward is I'm like, so they didn't have a claimant, but someone submitted haunted Ethernet cables is what you're telling me?
They're like, is that it? Is that what's happening?
Imperial College is Jeremy Bentham's body, probably.
I believe that.
I don't know why, but every time I think about Imperial College, all I think about is how the only language they teach, or at least the only language they taught in the early 2010s was German, which is a really niche thing. I don't know, but every time I'm like, oh, Imperial College, I think it's...
You know that they only taught German in the 1920s?
No, not in
all the languages.
No, the early 2010s, like the...
Oh, that's really weird. That is very specific.
Where is Imperial College? That's South Kensington, I think. I don't know. Why do I have these things in my brain that are dumb about Imperial College?
It's good to know. Good things, weird things to know.
But
I was thinking of King's College too for a second. I was like, no, King's College is not in Kensington. But then I was like, no, that's a different school.
Oh gosh, and there are a lot of schools in that city. It's an old city with schools and Roman ruins and what else is in London? A Ferris wheel.
Theater. A Ferris wheel.
The theater.
So a river. Me soon. Hey! When are you going to London? Hi, away.
That's exciting, yeah.
That is very cool. Aw.
Sweet.
That's gonna be fun.
Visiting your brother in October. I love it. Have fun, be safe. I hope your brother's well. Alright, so I know our new friend. I didn't see our new friend still here. But I am keen to just like briefly talk about Edgar Casey, because Edgar Casey is an interesting topic.
I also don't know that much, so I'm down.
So basically, Edgar Casey, it says, like, the first sentence is like, was an American clairvoyant who claimed to channel from his higher self. So basically he'd kind of like go into a trance state, or he would like fall asleep, and then his friend, who later became his wife and later his secretary, Gladys.
That seems like a downgrade, but okay.
Right? Yeah. That's
from wife to secretary.
Friend to wife to secretary. Well, and you know, it's kind of funny too, because part of me is like, I don't know. Usually when I see he died in 1945, so this is the early 20th century. When I see things from like before a certain time in the 20th century, I see that like a woman was someone's secretary, and that they like produced any kind of like work, like a book or something like that. I'm kind of like, so she wrote it.
Yeah, like literally though, that's a good point. Yeah, 100% though. So she did it and he got credit. That makes sense.
And he slept.
Slept. Sure. He slept while this all happened.
But she would record the words that he would say during these trance sessions. So he'd answer questions on subjects like about healing and like reincarnation and past lives, and like honestly, like the list keeps going to things like nutrition, future events.
Oh, okay.
So, and actually, he was a pretty devout Christian, pretty involved in the church, and some of the like parishioners, some of the people that he encountered, I guess, in that community thought that he might be demonic, since he's, telling the future and trance and everything else, and talking about past lives or what have you.
Very fair. That's I can confirm that's probably how like very like Stella's like Christians would respond to that for sure.
But something that's interesting in terms of like, it says like what he believed was happening is that he thought his subconscious mind was exploring the dream realm, where he believed all minds were timelessly connected. So very like Jungian almost.
Yeah.
Good point. He founded a non-profit, the Association for Research and Enlightenment.
I love that.
To store and facilitate the study of his channelings, as well as run a hospital. All right.
I mean, sure. Sounds nice.
As long as your hospital doesn't do anything that like is like harmful to the patients.
Like human rights violations. Let's avoid that.
Yeah,
please.
I just watched the latest Ask a Mortician about like that wellness center from the 1800s that was all about like not eating or whatever, and it.
Oh no, that sounds terrible. So sad.
So anyway, in that case, it was one of those things where like, and so I think I have it on the brain where I'm like, okay, just like don't, if you're establishing like any kind of medical center, like don't
be that person. No one wants you to be that person.
Serial kill your patients, please.
That's terrible.
Oh no, I think he's too sleepy to be a serial killer, probably.
He was sleeping the whole time. He doesn't even know what happened.
So let's see. Some religious scholars and thinkers, such as author Michael York, consider him to be the true founder and principal source of the most characteristic beliefs of the New Age movement. I don't agree with that, but okay. But I think it's, he's insignificant. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was just like, I also don't necessarily agree with that, but like, yeah, sure. Yeah. We can just ignore that part.
Oh, hi, Red Monk 100. Hello.
Howdy, friend. Welcome.
But yes, in terms of that, like, I can see how he's an influential figure, how some of his ideas, and definitely some of the, I guess, stuff that he either established or got involved in could contribute, but it does seem, like, I don't know.
It's a lot to attribute it, like, to like give him that much credit a little bit.
Especially, I think, given, and I mean, this is a can of worms, but I'm like, I'm not gonna fully get
into here.
It, yeah,
we're here. We're opening it.
Well, I was just thinking, like, a lot of like New Age belief, takes a lot from Eastern religion or Eastern philosophy, things like that. So I'm kind of like it. Yeah. So a lot of religious scholars and thinkers who probably don't want to talk about anything other than like, oh, this white dude who was asleep in Virginia. It's actually him.
That's the thing. Yeah. Well, like a lot of it was like, it was inspired by the Eastern, like a lot of the Eastern traditions, but then like because they were kind of like like I don't want to say like reappropriated because that's not the word, but like when they were just kind of like they made into their own. This is like, actually, do you know, this is like kind of specific, sorry if the viewers are not following, but like, do you know that like the episode of Midnight Gospel when they're talking to the guy that like is into angels and stuff, and how he's like talking about how like essentially like Eastern like, you know, practices about like, you know, like all that stuff, like it's like the same thing, but he's like, but our language is different, so like attaching that meaning makes more sense. So I don't know where I was going at that point, but I was just like, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, they kind of like took it, but then they were like, I'm gonna change it a little bit so it's better for us,
or so it's easier for us to sort of or wrap our heads around, since it exists in a framework that we're not familiar with, almost like I don't want to say like not repurposing or rebranding, but almost like a reincarnation of the religious concept, right?
Kind of.
But yeah,
it's like you want to like naturalize it to where it is, right? So like you take it, it's like the same way with like how Christianity was like adopted in like a lot of like Latin America, where they still had like a lot of like African and indigenous traditions, so they kind of like were like, sure, that's something, and I'm gonna integrate it into how I believe things are. But yeah,
absolutely. Well, and I think you know, you're saying like also about like appropriating in terms of that, and I'm like, in some cases I think that's probably valid. Like we were talking about how tulpas exist, like you know, in the New Age movement or on Reddit, is you know, a very far cry from how they existed in, you know, like Tibetan mythology and everything else, right? Where so in terms of that, where I'm like, I think that kind of does fit pretty decently in terms of it being devoid of its actual significance, right? or almost, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Devoid. And like, I'm not necessarily like saying that it's like inherently wrong. It's just more of like, it'd be like, you know, it's weird that you're calling it the same thing, even though it's like not anything remotely like the thing that it was supposed to be. Yeah.
So all that to say, I think a religious scholar is talking about Edgar Cayce as the true founder of this. I'm like, that's
kind of gross. Let's not, we don't subscribe to that.
Makes me a little itchy. It makes me a lot itchy. But anyway,
very
so
itchy.
I'm gonna move on. But I was like, that's why I said, I was like, it's a whole can of worms. I'm like, all right, so there's a lot. His life is super well documented, apparently, because I thought
his secretary / wife was like probably just taking notes all day, every day.
The wife secretary was very busy.
The wife secretary.
But so he said he could see auras around people, spoke to angels, heard voices of dead people, and
yeah, we're talking about Ed Casey. Roll for this is what's happening now.
Such a trip. And I think it's interesting, like, that I guess in his early years, like, he agonized over whether all of this was, like, actually coming from, like, the highest source. Like, I guess kind of was, like, freaking out in terms of, like, okay, is this the devil? Is this a tumor? Or is this
the devil, or is it a tumor?
Questions I ask all the time. Oh, Dan's here!
Oh, hi!
Dan, you raise an excellent point in terms of talking about Eastern religions as being New Age, since they are Eastern religions. That's a good point too. I think what I was more talking about, I guess, was kind of like that, you know, there's a lot of like individual bits and pieces of it that feed into it, and, you know, I don't know. But yeah. Don't tell anyone I'm meant to be working. I won't tell anyone.
No, your secret's safe with us, Danny.
Yes, but Dan, that is an excellent point. Edgar Cayce, freaking out. Is it a tumor, or is it the devil, or who is it? He had severe laryngitis. He couldn't speak. He lived at home with his parents for almost a year because it was the olden days, and getting laryngitis is like
death.
Is a whole ass thing, yeah.
He's like, I'll see you never. I'm dying. Goodbye.
And a traveling. This gets crazy. crazier and crazier, and I'm like, we've been on for an hour and a half, but I'm like, oh man, so a traveling hypnotist gets involved. A
wild hypnotist appears.
A wild hypnotist appears, who called himself the Laugh Man, was performing at the Hopkinsville Opera House, heard about Casey's throat condition and offered to attempt a cure. And Edgar Casey was like, all right.
Sure, why not?
And so allegedly his voice returned in a hypnotic trance, but disappeared when he woke up.
Huh.
So then the hypnotist tried like a post-hypnotic suggestion that the voice would continue to function after the trance, but this proved unsuccessful. Let's see. He had other appointments in other cities. He was a business bitch.
He was a business bitch. We love us a business bitch.
So he couldn't like just like hang out and keep doing hypnotic treatments on Casey, and admitted he failed.
Sorry, I have other places to be.
So from what I'm seeing, basically, it looks like, based on that though, Edgar Casey started like regularly going to hypnotists because like that worked, right? Like it seemed like, you know, whatever was going on had nothing to do with the actual
like psychosomatic or some bullshit.
Yeah,
like.
Exactly. That's the word. Eventually, like the higher self situation happens where Edgar Casey said that a connection was made to the person or the entity that was requesting like the reading, that was requesting like, you know, more sessions, and he would generally start off with, "We have the body."
That's okay. That's chill. Very nonchalant. We have the body.
And it says, after 20 minutes, Casey, still in a trance, declared the treatment over. So he's just like, we're done.
Bye. I'm finito. Let's fucking go.
And I guess, like, after the first appearance of this other entity, he got his voice back, although, like, sometimes he had, like, little relapses, but it seems like that kind of, more or less, was a permanent cure.
Sure.
So, ever since that point, like, it was just like, okay, this hypnotic trance and clairvoyant situation starts happening as he's kind of figuring out how to do a self-imposed hypnotic trance. And as far as that goes, you know, he starts...
I feel like...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like, how is that successful, though? Like, if you're... Like, how can you hypnotize yourself? Like, you know, beyond, like, the whether hypnosis works or not, but, like, that just feels, like, extra, like, dumb somehow.
Right? Let's see. And as far as all that goes, let's see here. Casey said he could diagnose the physical and mental conditions of what he termed the entity and then like provide a remedy. But he was concerned because, quote, one dead patient was all he needed to become a murderer.
I mean, fair, very fair. That's I'd rather you be careful than not.
Yeah, you know, the kind of, you know, I was going back to the thing where I was just like, Victorian and Edwardian wellness people, please do not serial kill your patients. I like that he was like, I don't want to serial kill people.
I don't want to be that person. Let's go.
I could if I wanted to.
Such a low bar. Such a low bar, yet somehow I'm very impressed and happy that he went for it.
Me too. I'm like, good for him. Let's see. You know, so and also the wife Gertrude agreed. Let's see. Lots of losing his voice, lots of falling asleep, being into photography like you do. And like reporters were interested because of all the like prophetic stuff that he had going on. And then let's see. I'm trying to, so like there is so much fucking information, and I'm like trying to like get some of the like big ticket items
highlights out here.
Right?
Yeah, but like there's a lot.
Ooh! Hemo, congrats on being vaccinated! Fully vaccinated.
Good job.
We love to see it. I am so glad to hear. And yeah, I hope that it goes well in terms of like that you're staying hydrated and that you don't experience too many side effects.
Yeah. Stay safe, my dude.
Absolutely. Let's see. Uh, uh, so Casey was put under by this guy Lammers, like in a trance state. And in the trance state, he spoke of Lammers' past lives and of reincarnation, which is something that this dude believed in.
Okay.
And it says, you know, like it was a popular subject of the day, but not accepted as a part of Christian doctrine.
Right.
Oh, thank you for the
Aw.
subs.
Thank you, Hopper. Hi, Burnaway. I'm not an alcohol, but I'm gonna
Burnaway.
drink water.
Mm,
Thank you, sweet, sweet angel.
thank you so much. Definitely an angel. Let's see, I'm like, reincarnation, what's going on? What's going down?
Yeah, so the Christians didn't like it because, like, it goes against, Christian beliefs, which
Right.
makes, within that context, I guess why they were like, that's not what we do. That's not how we do it here.
So like, I guess when he came out of his trance, they were like, oh yeah, you were talking about reincarnation and everything else, and Casey was like, I wouldn't talk about reincarnation.
That's really not who I am.
I am a good Christian boy, and I would not be
Good Christian boy.
about reincarnation. Let me see that fucking transcript then, you coward.
You coward!
Yeah, and then they like went over it, and let's see, and Casey was like, I don't think I was talking about reincarnation. I was talking about something else. I don't know what.
Oh, maybe his brothers or something?
Yeah, so Casey was like, so I guess like we have documentation of him kind of like talking about this stuff as early as the early 20s, but I do get a kick out of him being like, that's not what I said, and then being like,
I would never do that. I would never say that.
oh gosh, I didn't send those texts last night. That wasn't me.
That wasn't me. Someone took my phone.
My friend took my phone. So let's see. I'm trying to find some other big ticket items along the way. I know that it starts to get really exciting like toward the end, because I know like toward the end of his life when he was like, doing readings and everything else, he had some prophecies about the future.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, obviously you would know because you're on the wiki page, but like my recall is like basically there were a lot of things that he like predicted were gonna happen, but like there's also like the idea of like people were rewriting things even after he died to like make sure that they fit into it.
Yeah, that's true. Although, it wasn't Gertrude. Gertrude died 3 months after Edgar Casey did.
So not the wife-atary.
Yeah, not.
What?
Yeah.
What's the word you said? Wifery? What? The secretary wife.
Wife secretary.
Wife's wife secretary.
Skenate.
Skenate.
But yeah, I guess so. For a year, 1,385 readings were taken.
Okay.
By August 1944, Casey collapsed from strain. When he
Too much work.
Yeah, and the instructions were to when he gave a reading on the situation, the instructions were to rest until he was well or dead.
Sorry.
And from what I can see, dead was the answer. Rest until dead.
That was the answer. Fair enough.
So there's a lot of like files, a lot of prophecies, everything else. I'm trying to find some here. He gained like national attention after the publication of in a high profile magazine, and I guess it was kind of about some of his readings, some of his magic. He was doing a lot of readings per day. World War II was happening, and you know, a lot of families were really like begging for the opportunity to like reach out to loved ones or maybe who passed or were missing in action or, you know, whatever else. So yeah,
that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. But once again, like what's kind of like frustrating me in the immediate moment is I'm like, you know, between like him talking about Atlantis, him talking about like the distant future, everything else, I'm just kind of like, Wikipedia, I want to know what stuff he said was gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm like, where is his Nostradamus? I want to see his Nostradamus, basically.
Yes. Let's see. Supporters, controversy. Let's see. Aliens. There were aliens.
Aliens. Of course. Although so while you're looking that up, like I was like listening to this podcast like this week about like, well, it's like a general podcast, but like there's two people, like they're both physicists, and one of them was talking about how like they recently did like a mathematical exercise about like the probabilities of there actually being life in the galaxy and in like the seeable universe, because you know like the whole paradigm, or like not paradigm, sorry, like the what's it called, like it's kind of like a puzzle, because like we have all these things going on, we should be able to see something or hear someone, and like, you know, if the universe is so big, like there's no, like, you know, how are we like not seeing anything else? So they were like, oh, actually there's a 75% chance we're the only like intelligent life within our galaxy, and like 50% chance that we're the only ones in the sea of like the observable universe. And that made me so sad. I'm like, I know it's just a math exercise, right? So it's just more of like a probability thing, but like I was like, that sucks. I don't like that. I hate those probabilities.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Fermi Paradox is real, right?
Thank you.
Like
Words.
The
Fermi Paradox.
You know, aliens must exist, so where are they? And I imagine they were also probably talking about like the great filters, right? Like the various stages at which intelligent life would probably be extinguished.
Right.
I'm also a big fan of the really terrifying one, which is like aliens so advanced that we can't even fucking perceive or understand it.
That's what I like better. I like that one better. I'd rather be like really dumb,
like
and like have other things be out there.
Like if you walked up to just like an armadillo and you like showed it a cell phone or whatever, the armadillo would just be like, I'm an armadillo.
Okay.
And
yeah,
like, you know.
I've heard it with like ants. I'm like, the ant would be like, the fuck is that? Like, I was just like, I can't even see what you're showing me because my brain can't even perceive that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
because yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the way that I kind of like.
That's my favorite one.
I also hope that that's why in that case that we've been left alone, is that they're like, oh, like the ant armadillo world, like
they're like, don't worry, we're trying to protect the galaxy so you can keep doing your ant things, but don't worry yourselves about these like bigger things.
It's a mess down there. Ew. No,
yeah.
thank you.
No thanks.
But yeah, I am what you call it? Yeah, so that's kind of my sincere hope with respect to aliens.
Same. I'd rather be really dumb than be the only one.
Yeah. Well, and similarly, I would like it to be that much of a difference, so that it's not a situation where they're like, we have advanced technology, and you know, now you have to do it what we say. We're gonna farm you, or whatever it is.
Right,
like
right.
Any of the messed up stuff.
We're insignificant.
Any of the messed up stuff that I was going to say humans would do, but I was like, any of the messed up stuff that humans have done to one another.
Exactly.
I would really prefer.
When we see each other like close enough to like, when we're like, you're equal, but like not that equal, so I'm gonna focus on the not equal part. Like, yeah.
Let's see. Edgar Casey talking about Atlantis, talking about giants.
Okay.
Claimed that in people indigenous to the Americas came from Atlantis.
Well, that's just some white bullshit.
Yeah, that's...
But, like, it's cool. Fine.
Yeah. It's listed under the controversy section where I'm like...
Fair enough.
I'm like...
I can see that. Being a controversy.
He's a dude in the 1920s. That's the type of bullshit that people just said. Not that I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm just saying like that's...
No. But like, yeah.
I'm like,
but it's like, yeah, of course he would say something like that.
Like that, yes, exactly. That's what I meant, where I was like, it's an unacceptable thing that people just kind of said willy-nilly. Let's see. He had a prediction that in 1958, the United States would rediscover a death ray that had been used on Atlantis.
Did we do it? No, I'm kidding. Wait, did I miss that? What happened? No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, so many near brushes with the death ray in the 20th century.
Right?
My goodness.
God. I wish we would have found it. That would have been nice.
And Tesla, everyone was after the death ray.
True.
I feel like I'm not crazy. Didn't Tesla like...
I thought so.
Building a death ray?
That sounds really familiar.
Or if someone was like, please build a death ray.
Well, that sounds vaguely familiar to me. Like, I remember, like, associating Tesla with, like, the death rays. Like, so, yeah.
Are those the forest fire death rays? Oh, dear. No, those
Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
We live in interesting times.
We live in the worst of times and the best of times, but mostly the worst of times.
They're interesting.
Interesting. The dankest, darkest timeline. It's forever how I feel about this reality we're living in.
Now I want to rewatch like Community episodes that have the darkest timeline in it.
Yeah.
Things got dark. My hair is different.
Dark. Yeah, my hair is different. Things are real dark now.
Actually, so it's funny, we were talking about James Randi, and he actually like weighed in on the Edgar Cayce situation. He said Casey was fond of expressions like "I feel that" and "perhaps," qualifying words used to avoid positive declarations.
You mean like the kinds of words you use when you're trying to be nice? Like, you know, that's how you express your feelings.
Perhaps there's a death ray.
Perhaps. I feel that maybe there might be a death ray. Perhaps. And yes, Rhett Monk, that is like an ancient, well, like an old proverb. May you live in interesting times. I think that's one part of it. There's like other parts. But that's one of the main ones that people know. May you live in interesting times. And
evidence that the phrase was in use as early as 1936 is provided in a memoir of the British ambassador to China. Is widely reported of being of ancient Chinese origin, but is neither Chinese nor ancient, being recent and Western, is what I'm seeing.
Noted.
Well,
I mean, hey. There we go. Yeah.
I mean, but it's funny though, because like it's like I don't know. Anyway, I'm like it's the meaning behind it is great, and I'm like apparently like its origins are something that a lot of people have been trying to get to the bottom of, because like I just passed so many articles that were like, but the memoirs, but this other thing, but what about this other person?
Oh, so it's like still like,
I asked a dog, and
the dog didn't seem to have conclusive facts about how this came about. But I guess like my question is like, may you live in interesting times. Doesn't it go paired with other things? Like I think it's one of three or something. Or am I thinking of fucking like, what's his name? Like the writer, the British writer that wrote fucking like Jungle Book, but like the OG version of it. What's his name? Rupee something. Jungle Book original. Rudyard Kipling. That's who I was thinking about.
Kipling.
Because he wrote the thing about like the fucking like the monkey paw thing.
Yes.
Wow, this was so hard. My brain was like, words are so difficult. Thank you, yes.
Words are hard. Perhaps Death Ray is a great emo band. I love it.
If it's not a band, we're starting a band and it's calling the Death Ray. I mean, how could no one have done that before?
Yeah. I'm trying to find, like, if there's anything else with respect to, like, you're saying, like, is there more to May You Live in Interesting Times, but I'm struggling to find it. But,
I might have just, like, I might have made that up or read that elsewhere somewhere.
You know, there's a Terry Pratchett novel called Interesting Times
Mm-hmm.
in Discworld.
That makes sense. I mean, like, I can see how that's... Interesting times are usually not necessarily good times, is the point.
Interesting
We live in
times.
very interesting times, for sure.
Definitely more interesting. Well, I was going to say more interesting than, like, you know, when I think about my childhood, for instance. But I'm like, but I was a child. I couldn't perceive all of the interesting things.
Yeah! But, like, I still think it's interesting. Interesting thinker.
And I guess, so something else within, like, sort of, like, criticism and controversy that I'm seeing with respect to Edgar Cayce, you know, apart from, you know, James Randi weighing in and being like, he says maybe a lot.
He says maybe a lot.
So
don't trust that hoe.
Never trust a hoe. Don't trust me.
Don't trust a hoe. Don't trust me. I'm a hoe.
That's according to the 303, the poet laureate band of. I forgot about that. Oh my god. I forgot about that entirely. Sorry, no, that blew my mind. I was just like, I haven't seen that.
303. It's literally a 3 and an O and a 3.
10 years.
It's been 84 years. But yes.
That was 87 years ago.
Sorry, but so besides him saying maybe, what was the other sketchy bullshit?
I mean, there was a lot of, like, sketchy bullshit about, like, you know, newspaper articles being sensationalized and things like that. But something interesting is, I know I was talking about how, like, you know, calling him, like, a single founder for that movement. I was like, that seems a bit off. Some of the mentions here, like, these are still, like, these are either people that are what I think of in terms of sort of, like, people who are into, like, either Western, like, occult theosophy, etc., where you, like, Helena Blavatsky, for example.
Right.
And it is funny, so, because they were saying, like, he had been reading, like, some of Madame Blavatsky's works. Another name that came up, in terms of books that he was apparently reading a lot, works by Carl Jung. Imagine that. Imagine that.
That makes sense. I mean, look, that makes a lot of fucking sense, considering that he's talking about, like, the fucking dream world being, like, the collective human consciousness.
Yeah, right? So that is something that's interesting too. So I mean, I was, you know, talking about, like, standing on the shoulders of giants of a bunch of threads that are all coming into what we eventually come to know as this movement, right? Right, where, like, the how it transformed as a spectrum in my brain place. The spectrum. It either goes this way or this way. It's a grid.
It's 3-dimensional. It goes forward too somehow.
5D chess. But also, in terms of that, you know, we're also seeing these other people who influence the New Age movement, in terms of, like, Western thought, Western occultism, everything like that, feeding into it as well. And I don't know why I was like, for some reason, like, like, Aleister Crowley popped into my brain. I was like, go away, Edgar Cayce.
Go away, Aleister. Go once.
Fuck off. You know.
Not about you. No one summoned you.
No, like, the wickedest man in Britain would probably not be the sort of person that Edgar Cayce would want to, like, vibe with. This, you know, there was a lot of stuff that Edgar Cayce would have been like, no, that is the devil.
Yeah, he's like, absolutely not.
I keep getting phone calls from Aleister Crowley asking me if I will have sex with him in a pyramid.
And I keep saying, I'm a good Christian man that just happens to believe in reincarnation, okay? It has nothing, like, I'm not that kind of person. Wrong hoe. Wrong number.
I just go to sleep, and my wife tells me.
And my wife writes down what I say.
I'm not into whatever dramatic situation you have going on there. And that is not something we have time for, but what a rabbit hole that is.
That always a rabbit hole. Always a good one.
You know, I also just laugh thinking about some of the like little tiffs that he had with people, like, I don't know, him having an enemy in William Butler Yeats.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh gosh, it's so real. But anyway, all that to say, so a lot of like the criticism is either or you know, controversy that I'm seeing mostly has to do with either people being like it's not real, or shit can get racist sometimes with some of the stuff this guy is saying. Both, I'm like, yeah, all right, that makes sense.
Okay, fair enough.
As
sure.
criticism to you know, put against Edgar Cayce. But yeah, I was not expecting the mention of like the sources that likely were feeding into it, that he was clearly, like, that he was in possession of, clearly had read. So I'm fascinated by that.
It is fascinating, but like I mean, you called it earlier, like it checks out. Like, I mean, based on a lot of the things that he was saying, like, I mean, like, even if he learned more about it later on, he probably, like, that helped him probably put words to the things that he was like seeing and thinking.
Yeah, well, and I mean, given his belief structure, that probably helps. But I was about to say, I was like, magical principle, where like names have power, right?
Oh yeah.
So there, you know, I'm like, hey, I was like, I mean, Edgar Cayce would probably be like, not magic.
It's not magic, it's Christianity. But yeah, it's the God, the one true God.
Yeah, it also kind of reminds me of what you were saying, where it's like, you know, you get these concepts that are put in terms that you're like, oh, it's kind of like this other thing, kinda.
Kind of, a little bit, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't know. I don't really know what I've learned apart from just more about Edgar Cayce. I'm kind of like, but I was trying to come up with something to be like, but hey,
I mean, look, I always like going back into the Edgar Cayce like wiki though, because every time I'm like, I pick a different thing in there, and I'm like, I'm gonna go read about how Jung like influenced him, and like, yeah, sure, I'm sure someone's written about that somewhere.
Carl Jung, I mean, I'm like, I it's a shame that he wasn't around for like LSD. I think he would have had some fun with LSD.
I think he would have like made like a lot, like, I think he would have solved a lot more things than he did while he was alive. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would have like made even a bigger mark.
Yeah. In terms of things I'm Googling that my FBI agent is going to love, did Carl Jung do shrooms?
Or opium. Opium's like another one that's pretty common.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, opium would also.
Are young drugs.
Psychedelic therapy. Wasn't known to have tried any psychedelics, is what it
Oh,
says.
shit, yeah.
According to jungianjournal.ca, but it's funny.
He's
though.
actually. It seemed, well, I'm just reading a different article here, and it seems like, while he was alive, a lot of interviews, he would talk about like drugs and like how he was like very anti using all sorts of drugs, actually. So I think it's interesting.
That is interesting. So yeah, I guess maybe he wouldn't have been interested in LSD. He would have been like, nope.
Huh.
Nope.
He's like, that's literally the opposite of what I'm saying.
You know,
God, you guys don't get me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to kind of like know some of his rationale. I can imagine some of like what his rationale might be in respect to that, but there's a part of me that's like, What, you don't want people to be able to hack into the collective unconscious? That's mean.
He's like, if you do it that way, it's not real or some bullshit. Like, I think, well, I closed the article, but like, I was basically, a lot of it just seemed like it was just like more of like, when you're on drugs, you're not being you yourself. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know. It was more of like along the lines, like using like narcotics usually doesn't lead to good things. And like, it's not helpful, but.
Well, and that also makes sense in terms of, like, I know Freud had that whole, like, moment with cocaine where he was like, oh, no.
Let's not do that.
I'm gonna stop using cocaine. We should all stop using cocaine. I think it seems...
I think it's affecting us collectively.
It was
we
fun,
all stop.
but everyone keeps trying to start a ska band. Like, I can't handle it.
I can't keep going to orgies every week. It's really like just a lot of energy. I'm not writing enough. I need to stop.
Yeah. This dude's over here in the corner. He won't stop yelling at me about dirigibles. Like, it's bullshit.
I hate it.
But yeah, I didn't actually. I'm seeing that he died in 1961. I didn't realize that he died. What I'm considering like so late into the 20th century.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I always assumed that they were further back in time. So
yeah,
time is weird, man.
Time is weird. I hate those ones where they're like, when you were a kid, this band was like, you know, like it's like, oh, if you were a kid in 1995 and such band, like the Beatles were this long ago, and now that's Kesha or whatever it is, and you're like, what?
Oh,
no!
yeah,
No!
yeah. Oh, I hate those. I'm also like, who wins? No one's winning. Just the person who wrote the post and is making everyone else react to it. But like, no one needed that information. No one improved their lives. No one's life improved because of it. So no thanks.
I didn't come here to be attacked by that information.
Literally. I'm like, I'm just here trying to look at memes and you're yelling at me about me being old. Fuck
right?
you.
Although it is a bit of a, it really is a bit of a mindfuck in terms of like bands that I do consider to be very, very old and it being like, oh yeah, but to your parents, they're about as old as this thing. I'm like,
that's crazy.
That
like,
is crazy.
Yeah. That is really crazy.
But, you know, well, especially I think there are a handful of like bands or singers or whatever that are so far in the past that, and I acknowledge this, like that, you know, it's easy to mythologize them. They become something or someone else than, you know, who they actually were. Because it was so long ago, their heyday, or maybe even in some cases, like, you know, when they were alive, right?
Right.
Whereas I feel like who's somebody from like, I don't know, the early 2000s.
The Backstreet? No, I guess they're still around.
Sure, the Backstreet Boys, I guess. If somebody talked about the Backstreet Boys, the way that, like, I don't know, that a lot of people talk about, I feel like the Beatles are often on a pedestal. Let's not talk about the Beatles. How about, I don't know. The Rolling Stones still exist, but you know what I mean, like the early Rolling Stones or whatever it is.
Right,
they are not.
Right.
I will add before anyone in the chat gets mad that they're not musically comparable. I'm just talking about
no.
You know,
age.
I took a peek at the chat, just like I'm not saying they're the same.
Just like everyone, chill.
But the way that some people might talk about like the early like Rolling Stones, I'd be like, oh, I'm old. Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I get it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Time
is so big.
Time is crazy. I actually crazy. I forget who I had this conversation with, but I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago, but kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like maybe a couple weeks or a month or so ago, about Adamant, and I was like, Adamant exists in my brain as a very different entity than I was like, I know he's alive now, he exists now, he's, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, he is permanently in 1982 in my brain. Because, you know, that's how I'm usually exposed to his work and everything else.
Right.
But you know, it's almost as if it's like a character that he plays. Well, I mean, it is. It 100% is.
It's him. But like,
right?
The way he lives in your brain is not like the dynamic. Like, you know, your perceptions of people are never going to be like as accurate as the actual person, right? So like, It's always gonna, especially like if it's like someone that you're like are not actually relating to in real life, right? So it's easier to like have a more like caricature kind of version of them,
or almost to look at them as if they're like they are characters, right? Like, you know, that like from some sort of a narrative, like, oh, I don't know why I keep thinking about Kesha. Like, oh, I love the Kesha show. Like,
yeah.
Lady Gaga.
But Kesha's a whole person.
Yeah.
Or exactly.
Lady Gaga, especially now that she is more of an actress these days. Like, I don't know if she's put out, like, I know she's put out some music, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people interact with her as an actress now, the days in 2021, and it's like versus or when she does songs, it's like, you know, collaborating with Tony Bennett or, you know, as part of A Star Is Born or whatever, versus back around like Poker Face and everything else when it was just like the
shock factor Gaga that was just like
super pop music designed for everyone being on Molly, just, you know, very, very different character, the Lady Gaga from, you know, the late aughts, early teens, as opposed to now, very different characters. Different incarnations of Lady Gaga.
That's what it is. That's what reincarnation is. It's basically whenever you decide that you're going to do something different, other people are just like, you're a whole new person. It's very different. I can't perceive you that way. So now you're going to live as two separate people in my brain.
Yes. And actually, I just was like, oh my God. I don't know how I have not put this together, but I was like, David Bowie just like full on would just be like, this is my new character, period.
Yeah.
David Bowie just would straight up identify it and be like, this is what is happening.
Well, that's like that. I think that's really cool too, because he also understood that people's perception of him was a character, right? So it was almost like he's like, okay, then this is me. He did it way more successfully than Snoop Dogg did when he was just like, I want to be Snoop Lion now, but like didn't really like put. It was a whole like you can't change your name and like stuff if you're gonna be the same character, right? It's like, no, you're just Snoop Dogg. I don't care what you're doing.
And I think too, like it being in that respect, I guess when it comes to like musical artists, it like the incarnation being still clearly like related to like a through line, because I also think about that time that Garth Brooks was trying to become Chris Gaines or whatever, and like that they're like, oh, country music guy, and then he had this album where he's like, no, I'm emo and I'm dark and whatever, and everyone was like,
interesting. I don't know if I buy it.
Right, where everyone was like, this is they're like, people didn't vibe with it. You know, so there just kind of wasn't, there was something about that was maybe I don't know, maybe it was just
maybe
not
it's
the right
like
time.
more artificial, like I don't know. I feel like maybe just like conveying authenticity is hard too. Also, like if it's like a very rough like 180 might be harder too than if it's like gradual. But
manufactured authenticity is hard.
Yeah, bro. That's why I'm like half of the time I'm like really annoyed at people who are like actual influencers, because like a lot of it is manufactured, but I'm also like, that's talent though. If you're like able to like manufacture authenticity to the point where millions of people like in some way or form believe that you're like their friend, like is really crazy to me. Like that's really fucking impressive.
Yeah, the parasocial relationship stuff is real, and yeah, that being able to make the audience feel like connected is wild. I'm seeing that I don't know about you, I'm starting to get kind of hungry. I'm like, I'm starting.
Oh, I should go make food at some point.
Yeah,
I
like
forgot.
it's almost 8:30. So I was like, and you know, I was like, and when we're streaming and we're having a great time, and I love hanging out with everybody in the chat. Red Monk, can you imagine Freud in a ska band? Absolutely.
I would love that. I think he would like literally vibe so hard.
Sunglasses, just skanking away.
Are you a skanatic? A ska fanatic? So stupid.
I would watch the shit out of that movie.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I mean maybe that's a deleted scene in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Maybe. I mean, like, we're like, where's the ska band scene? They're like, oh, I feel like the audiences wouldn't have vibed, so we cut
Yeah,
it.
we cut it. We needed more Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
I know Abraham Lincoln's birthday because I've seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that many times. It's February 12th, 1809.
1809. Don't you forget it.
Oh God. Lincoln. I know how to spell Lincoln.
I mean, look, I do have to spell it out in my head every time I write it. I'm not gonna lie. But
I mean, I would if it weren't for the fact that I hear the actor playing Abe Lincoln talking to the actor playing the police officer say that line to him. That is the only reason I know.
Colin.
Yes.
Hello.
Most of my Abraham Lincoln knowledge either comes from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the book, not the movie. The book is really entertaining. The movie, I don't even remember. I have it because my brother gave it to me for my birthday. I saw it once and I was like, I don't remember what happened. It just kind of
it wasn't memorable, sure.
But that book, or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or a story that I will talk about some other time, which, unless I've already talked about it, which is that time that Abraham Lincoln was challenged to a duel on Blood Island.
I have not heard that story, and I want to go down that rabbit hole at some
One
point
day,
because
yes.
that sounds really fun.
Oh my God, it is insane. There's a lot of escalation that happens that you're like,
yes.
where I didn't know that Abraham Lincoln was as good at trolling as he was, but he
I love that for him. I love that for my perception of him. I'm gonna enjoy him in my memory now more, like in my conception of him.
Just really value it. Well, cool.
Yeah.
So for everybody, I guess I mean, if it's alright by you, I think I'll wrap up officially.
Oh no, it's cool. I'm also hungry, and I think that's fair because I do have to make food. So
yes. So for everybody who has been here, yes, thank you, Hibernaway. You have
thank
a lovely
you for
evening as
joining.
well. Thank you for staying up late with us. If you stayed up late with us, thank you for being here. If it's not late, I know Hamo, like it's the daytime for you. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I know a lot of you, stuck it out the whole time, so I hope we were entertaining and maybe we all learned something.
Maybe we learned something about Mars.
But yeah, in the meantime, stay connected to the collective unconscious and follow your dreams.
Because, we all have the same dreams in some way.
And let's see. I guess so. I will have us raid Nacho after the credits, and the credits will.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you to everybody.
Thanks, France. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks
Good
for hanging
night.
out. Bye. Oh,